Phone sales. How I love you. Phone sales are incredibly important. As you know, if you're watching this video, depending on what industry you're in, but now more than ever, they're extremely important because of the lack of face-to-face contact. So the better you can be on the phone, the higher chance that you have of closing any deals. Now in this video, I'm actually going to give you one tip, that you can do that is going to dramatically elongate your conversations. And by default, if you can keep a prospect on the phone longer, your chances of closing that deal are going to go up. So you're welcome. I didn't even give you the tip yet, but you're welcome. In my sales trainings, a lot of the times I'll actually get on the phone with prospective clients to show the team that I'm training what it is that I'm talking about after I explain a concept. And what usually happens is after I hang up the phone, the team usually says, "Oh my God, the guy could not get off the phone with you." And it's true. I have several techniques that I use to make sure that the prospect is not getting off of that phone until I'm ready to hang up. And in this video, I'm going to give you one of those techniques, probably the most effective one to elongate that conversation. Are you ready? Are you ready? Here it is. To keep a prospect on the phone longer, all you have to do is say their favorite word. What is their favorite word, you ask? Good question. I see you've been watching my other videos about how to ask good questions, like this one maybe. So their favorite word and your favorite word are going to be the same thing. Just think about it for a second. What is your favorite word? I'm going to give you a hint. It comes right before your last name. Everybody's favorite word is their first name. My favorite word is Muna. My husband's favorite word is Ali. My sister's favorite word is Nadine. My other sister's favorite word is Neda. You get the point. Now, the thing is, when you ask somebody what's your favorite word, they're not going to think about their first name. This is not a conscious decision that we make that, oh, my favorite word is my first name. I mean, generally, unless you're a huge narcissist, in which I like you. But there's a lot of psychological reasons why we love to hear our first name. And you can research that and you can understand that on a very, very deep psychological level. But in this video, I want you to just understand that if you're in phone sales, you do any kind of telesales or telemarketing, this one little thing can keep your prospects on the phone much longer. Just say their first name. I'm going to give you a few different ways you can actually say this during the conversation. Okay, the first way is you would say their name at the beginning of the conversation where you ask if it's them. So let's say this is somebody you've never spoken to before. Okay, so if I were to call somebody named Mary and I've never spoken to her before, I would want it to sound like I'm almost a friend. I'm definitely not a salesperson. I don't want to make her think that because she's going to want to get off the phone with me before she even knows what I'm trying to sell her. So I want to make it sound like I'm familiar, but she doesn't really know who it is. And I would do that by saying, "Hi, Mary?" Literally, that's it. Okay, so that's one. You say it at the beginning of the conversation. The other place you can say their name is when maybe they're talking too much. So it doesn't happen all the time, but when you do get a prospect that just goes on a rant, they might be irritated with something, or they might have heard of your company before and they had a bad experience, or any other reason where they're just talking nonstop and you really need to break that pattern. You can do it by saying, "Mary?" And then they would stop and say yes, and you continue. But the fact that you said their name is much different than if you tried to interrupt them, because if somebody's on a rant and you interrupt them by saying, "Oh, I know what you mean, but," interrupting is never good. But if you interrupt them by saying their name, it's much, much different. Now, always try to find a space in there where they are not speaking. So if they happen to take a breath somewhere, it's a great time to say their name. The third place you want to say their name is when you feel that you're losing the conversation and they are about to hang up the phone. I can't tell you how many times I've used this technique, and it really, really works, because that conversation will continue on for another minute or 2 minutes at least. And I've done this several times. So if I haven't gotten what I've wanted to get out of that phone call, I'm not letting that person off the phone, and I'm going to do it when they think they're about to hang up the phone. I'm going to say, Mary? She's going to say yes. And I'm going to say, just one more question. But the way that you say their name is important as well, because it needs to be said in a way where you're surprised that they might not be on the line or that they're not responding to you. So try saying somebody's name to elongate that phone sales conversation. And keep in mind, people love to hear their own name, so it might come off as weird to you, but here's another tip. Don't say their name too much, because if you say it too much, it will definitely be weird, okay? So you don't want to be like, hey, Mary, how you doing? Mary, let me ask you a question, Mary. Mary had a little lamb. I don't know. I'm just saying, don't overkill. And here's the last reason that you definitely want to use their name at least 2 or 3 times in that conversation, because most salespeople will only say the person's name once at the beginning of the call. So if you want to be much better than the regular salesperson, say their name 2, 3, 4 times during that conversation when you need to, when you can use it to make that conversation longer, and until you get what you want out of that phone call, or very close to what you want out of that phone call. If you like this tip, give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down twice so you can really show me how much you didn't like it. And subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss the next video, and I will see you in the next video.